Okay, now we move to the next component of aggregate plan. That is strategy here. This is the second component. We have completed the first component or the first part just now. So strategy here, it means what needs to be done by the operations manager to overcome this shortage and excess problem. So your focus should only be on this part, this row, shortage and excess, and you can just ignore the upper part. So kita hanya akan tengok shortage and excess only, okay, to complete the strategy part. Okay, strategy here, what are the things to be written or what are the strategies to be applied here? We have to refer to the question, what is required in the question? What is the strategy required by the question? So this example 10.4, 10.4 requires us to use constant workforce strategy, varying over time, and also subcontracting. So constant workforce has been used over here, where we have written 15 workers every month, and we calculate the standard output by using all the 15 workers. So we have applied the constant workforce strategy. Now for the other two sub-strategies, overtime and subcontract, will be applied over here. So what needs to be written in the table here is overtime, okay, because we follow what is required by the question. Overtime is the sub-strategy number 1, and followed by subcontract. Okay, turutan mestilah ikut apa yang diletakkan dalam soalan. If the question mentions overtime first, then over here must be overtime, then followed by subcontract. So you cannot switch the place. But to be safe, inventory, even though it is not mentioned in the question, you have to put it as the one that is compulsory here. Okay, letakkan dia sebagai strategi yang wajib. Okay, inventory. Then number 2, second strategy, and the third one, and the fourth, and so on. Then we follow exactly what is mentioned in the question. So yang ni automatically you put, you just write this automatically. So how to complete the inventory first? Okay, inventory here is to be used if the company has excess only. Okay, remember your focus is only on the shortage and excess. Kita tengok setiap bulan ni, then we need to decide what to be done with this shortage and excess. That will go into the strategy. So in January, the company has an excess in production of 1,000 units. So this 1,000 units, what should the company do? So this 1,000 should go into inventory. Kita ada lebihan, so kita nak buat apa dengan lebihan yang sebanyak 1,000 tu? So kita akan jadikan dia sebagai stock. So the stock will go into inventory. So 1,000 will be written here. 1,000 units, So this part also is also in units. Okay, part yang pertama tadi and second part or second component, both are in units. So 1,000 will go to inventory. We look at February. Okay, still in January, once 1,000 has gone into inventory, so we have actually settled this problem. Kita dah solve this 1,000 problem. So what about overtime and subcontract? Then nothing is required to be placed as overtime or subcontract. So these two will become 0, these two strategies. So 1,000 ni kita dah selesaikan masalah dia, kita masukkan dia dalam inventory. So solve, the problem solved, habis. So don't worry about overtime and subcontract. So you do the same thing for February. We have an extra or an excess of 1,960 units. So how to place this excess? So the excess will go into inventory as well. That is 1,960 units. So now we have solved this excess problem. Kita dah selesaikan. So what will happen to overtime and subcontract? So these two will be 0 as well. So once kita dah selesai masalah shortage or excess ni, dah habis semua selesai. So don't worry about other strategies. The next month, we have an extra of 1,440. Also, this will go into inventory because of this is an excess. So we solve this problem. Overtime and subcontract will also be 0. Okay, now let's look at April. So April here is a bit different from other months because in April we have a shortage. So when we have a shortage, we cannot use the inventory. Inventory is only for excess sahaja. So inventory will be 0. Sebab kita tak ada lebihan. Macam mana kita nak masuk dia jadikan inventory? So we have to produce yang mana kita kurang ni. If the company has shortage, then the company will have to produce and get the shortage because customers want this much. But the company is able only to produce this much together with the stock. Still customer tak dapat sebanyak 560 units. So whatever it is, by preparing aggregate plan, the operations manager has to come up with a strategy on how to get the shortage. Macam mana untuk dapatkan balik the shortage tu. So now, overtime and subcontract, they are used for shortages situation. So now we think about overtime and subcontract. So kita punya shortage is 560. So 560. How many units to be produced by using overtime and how many units to be produced by using subcontract so that we can get a total of 560. Okay, you cannot just lump all everything to get everything here in overtime 560. Tak boleh tak boleh masuk terus. We have to look at the additional information first. Is there any maximum overtime or not? Ada tak dalam additional information tu dia mention overtime has a maximum of how many units? So you refer to the additional information. You see overtime constraint. So overtime constraint here is actually the maximum of overtime that the company can do. Maksudnya kalau company nak buat overtime to cover the shortages, the maximum unit yang boleh dikeluarkan menggunakan overtime is only 500. So overtime here has a maximum of 500 units only. So please take note on this. So because of that, okay, we cannot simply lump everything together 560 units by using overtime. So what we have over here is we can only use overtime to produce 500 units only. So kita guna overtime and keluarkan 500 units. But the shortage here is 560. So we have solved 500 units. But we have a balance of 60 units. So this balance of 60 units will be produced by using subcontracting or subcontract. Okay, so when we add these two together, overtime and subcontract, then we are able to solve this shortage problem of 560. So whatever you put, the strategy that you choose, make sure that the total that you put in the strategy is equal to the shortage and excess up here. Okay, so you do the same thing for the following month. In May, we have a shortage of 1,520. Overtime can only be used to produce 500 only. So the balance that is 1,020 units will be produced by using subcontract. And again, the inventory here is 0 because we have shortages. So when we add these two together, we get exactly as 1,520. So we have now solved this shortage problem. Okay, and in June, we have shortage, so there is no inventory to be placed. Then, how about overtime? Maximum overtime is only 500, so the balance of 40 units must be produced by using subcontract. So when we add these two together, then we have solved the shortage of 540 units problem. Okay, so now you add up everything here as the total. So now these are the total for inventory, overtime and also subcontract. Okay, so this is how you complete the strategy. That is the second component or the second part of aggregate plan. And please remember, these two components or these two parts are in units.